It was a normal morning on Earth. The sun was bright. Traffic moved slowly through busy streets. Children sat in classrooms. Office workers stared at computer screens. Farmers worked in their fields. Nothing felt strange. Nothing felt different. No one knew that this peaceful morning would be the last normal moment humanity would ever have. At exactly 10:17 a.m. Universal Time, the sky changed. It did not happen slowly. It happened in a single breath. The blue sky above every major city began to darken, as if a giant shadow was moving across the planet. People looked up, confused. Some thought it was a storm. Some thought it was an eclipse. But there was no forecast. No warning. Within seconds, thousands of massive shapes appeared above the clouds. They were not airplanes. They were not satellites. They were enormous black ships, stretching for miles across the sky. They blocked the sun. They moved without sound. And they were everywhere. In New York, in Tokyo, in London, in Karachi, in Rio. The same dark shapes hovered above every important city on Earth. Phones came out. Cameras pointed upward. Social media exploded. What is that? Is this real? Is this a movie? Then the internet began to slow down. Signals became weak. Satellites stopped responding. Military radar systems around the world started to overload. Inside command centers, alarms screamed. Generals stared at screens filled with red warnings. Objects had appeared out of nowhere. No detection. No approach path. It was as if the ships had simply decided to exist above Earth. World leaders were rushed into secure bunkers. Emergency meetings began within minutes. Fighter jets launched from air bases across the planet. Pilots were ordered to approach but not fire. No one understood what they were facing. As the jets climbed toward the giant ships, every pilot reported the same thing. The ships were larger than cities. Their surfaces were smooth and black, with strange glowing lines moving across them like veins of light. There were no windows, no visible weapons, just silence. Then every screen on Earth turned black. Television channels stopped. Mobile phones froze. Billboards shut down. Even car radios went silent. For 5 long seconds, there was nothing but quiet. Then a single message appeared on every working screen, in every language known to humanity. The message was short. Earth is now under dominion. No symbol, no face, no sound, just those words. Panic spread faster than fire. People ran into buildings. Cars crashed into each other. Stores were emptied in minutes. Some people prayed. Some people cried. Some just stared at the sky, unable to move. In military command rooms, the order was finally given. Defend the planet. Missiles were launched from land and sea. Warships fired everything they had. Fighter jets locked targets and released rockets toward the massive ships above. The world watched as thousands of weapons raced into the sky. For a brief moment, humanity felt hope. Then something impossible happened. Every missile stopped. Not exploded. Not destroyed. Stopped. They froze in midair as if time itself had paused. Rockets hung in the sky like toys on invisible strings. Fighter jet systems shut down instantly. Pilots lost control and were forced to eject. The frozen missiles slowly fell back to Earth, harmless and dead. The alien ships had not fired a single shot. They had simply turned humanity's weapons off. A second message appeared. Resistance is illogical. And then the real attack began. From the bottom of each ship, beams of white light shot down toward the surface. Where the light touched, buildings disappeared. Not burned, not broken, just gone. Entire city blocks vanished in seconds. Military bases were erased. Air defense systems turned into dust. Around the world, governments realized the truth at the same time. Earth was completely helpless. The alien fleet had more power than every army combined. The invasion had begun, and humanity was losing without even fighting back. News reporters tried to broadcast from underground shelters. Scientists shouted theories that made no sense. Religious leaders called it the end of days. But deep beneath the surface of the planet, far below cities and mountains, something else was happening. In hidden bunkers that did not appear on any map, old systems began to wake up. Lights turned on in long-forgotten rooms. Screens flickered to life. Silent computers, built decades ago, started running programs that had never been used. A quiet voice echoed through steel corridors. Threat level Omega. Authorization confirmed. While the world above burned in fear, a different kind of calm filled those underground rooms. Men and women in simple uniforms stood at their stations. They did not look surprised. They did not panic. One officer looked at the giant screen showing the alien fleet and said softly, "So they finally came." Back in the sky, smaller alien ships began to detach from the massive carriers. They moved down toward the surface in perfect lines. In less than 10 minutes, alien troops would land on Earth. The invaders believed the battle was already over. Their technology was superior. Their control was absolute. Humanity had fired its best weapons, and they had failed in seconds. From orbit, Earth looked defeated, broken, ready to surrender. But the alien commanders did not know one thing. Humanity had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. For almost 100 years, Earth had prepared in secret. Not loudly, not publicly, quietly, carefully, patiently. As another city disappeared in white light, and as alien landing crafts entered the atmosphere, a final hidden system activated deep underground. A single timer appeared on a dark screen. It began counting down from 10 minutes. Above the planet, the alien fleet held its position, confident and unchallenged. On the ground, fear ruled every street. But beneath their feet, humanity was about to answer. The aliens believed the war would last days. They were wrong. It would last less than 10 minutes. Deep beneath the surface of the Earth, far below the burning cities and falling debris, the hidden bunkers were fully awake. The world above was in chaos, but down here everything moved with calm precision. Thick steel doors sealed shut. Powerful generators hummed to life. Long rows of screens lit up one after another. On each screen, the same image appeared, the alien fleet covering the sky like a dark ocean. The men and women inside the bunker did not shout. They did not panic. They had trained for this moment for years. One large screen in the center of the command room displayed a single name, Project Aegis. It was written in simple white letters. Below it, one line appeared, Global Defense Protocol activated. Project Aegis was not new. It was not created in fear today. It had been built in silence almost 80 years ago, after scientists detected a strange signal from deep space. At that time, governments did not tell the public. They did not want panic. Instead, they gathered the best engineers, the smartest scientists, and the most trusted military leaders. Together, they built something in secret, a system designed for one purpose only, to protect Earth from an advanced alien invasion. Only 12 leaders in the entire world knew the full truth about Project Aegis. Even most generals had no idea it existed. Funding was hidden inside space programs and defense budgets. Research was spread across different countries, so no single nation controlled it. Humanity understood one important rule. If aliens ever came, Earth would stand as one. Back in the present, inside the bunker, a senior commander stood with his hands behind his back. His face was calm but serious. "Status?" he asked. A young officer looked at her screen. Alien ground forces preparing to land in all major cities. Estimated time to full deployment, 8 minutes. Another voice spoke from across the room. "Orbital Alien Command Ship identified. It is controlling all fleet operations." The commander nodded slowly. "Good. Let them land." Around the room, a few new recruits looked confused. Let them land. Above ground, people were running for safety. Buildings were gone. Entire military bases had vanished in white light. Why would they allow the enemy to land? But the older officers understood. This was always part of the plan. Humanity could not defeat the fleet while it stayed high in orbit, with shields fully active. The alien ships were too powerful from a distance. But once they began ground operations, once they divided their focus, once they spread their forces, then they would become vulnerable. Project Aegis was never designed for a fast reaction. It was designed for the perfect moment. On the surface, massive alien dropships entered the atmosphere. They burned bright as they moved through the clouds. People watched from hiding places as giant metal structures landed in city centers and open fields. The ships were tall and smooth, with glowing blue symbols moving across their sides. Large doors opened slowly, and the first alien soldiers stepped onto Earth. They were taller than humans, covered in dark armor that looked alive. Their helmets hid their faces. Their weapons glowed with quiet energy. They moved in perfect order, scanning everything. Cars, buildings, humans hiding behind walls. To them, Earth was already conquered. Their main fleet still blocked the sun. Their technology had stopped all human weapons. There was no sign of organized resistance. News channels that still worked showed the same message again and again. Earth is under dominion. Inside the bunker, another screen came online. It showed a global map covered in small red dots. Each dot marked an alien landing zone. The system began to analyze movement patterns. A calm, artificial voice filled the room. Enemy forces entering designated sectors. Probability of trap success increasing. The commander allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had spent decades studying possible alien behavior. They had built advanced artificial intelligence systems that could predict movement based on logic and strategy. They had launched small hidden probes into deep space long ago, collecting unknown data. Slowly, over many years, they had learned enough to prepare. Activate Phase 1, the commander ordered. Across the planet, systems that had been asleep for decades quietly turned on. Old satellites, believed to be dead, adjusted their position. Hidden power stations deep under oceans began to charge. Underground rails shifted, moving unknown cargo into position. Humans above ground still believed they were losing. Many governments had already gone silent, but the truth was different. Humanity was not collapsing. Humanity was waiting. In one city, an alien commander stood in the middle of an empty street. He looked at the destroyed buildings around him and spoke in a language no human understood. Above him, one of the massive fleet ships adjusted its angle slightly. From space, the alien leaders observed the planet with confidence. Their scans showed broken defenses, weak communication, no unified military structure. The planet would be processed and controlled within hours. What they did not detect were the deep energy readings building beneath the surface. Project Aegis was never meant to be visible until the exact second it was needed. In the bunker, the countdown timer continued to move. 7 minutes remaining. A technician looked up from his station. Energy grid synchronization at 60%. Another officer spoke calmly. Orbital alignment nearly complete. The commander finally stepped closer to the central screen. He watched as more alien troops spread across cities, unaware of the invisible lines they were crossing. Every landing zone had been predicted, every movement calculated. Humanity had studied invasion scenarios for generations. They knew one simple truth about advanced species. Confidence creates patterns. Patterns create weakness. Phase 2 ready, the AI voice announced. The commander took a slow breath. Above ground, the alien soldiers continued forward, believing Earth was already theirs. They did not know they were exactly where humanity wanted them to be. The trap was almost ready. And soon, for the first time since the sky turned black, the hunters would become the hunted. Above the surface of the Earth, the alien forces moved with complete confidence. Their ships filled the skies. Their soldiers marched through the streets of silent cities. Their machines scanned every building, every signal, every human heartbeat. To them, the invasion was already a success. Resistance had failed in the first minutes. Human weapons had been stopped like toys. From orbit, the alien command ship observed everything with cold precision. Their leaders stood before a wide display that showed the planet in sections. Red markers showed landing zones. Blue lines showed energy control. Earth looked small and weak beneath them. On the ground, alien walkers, tall mechanical machines with long metal legs, moved between buildings. Each step shook the streets. Their weapons glowed softly, ready to erase anything that moved. Smaller drones flew above them like insects, scanning for hidden threats. Humans hid in basements, tunnels, and subway stations. Many believed this was the end of their world. News broadcasts were broken. Governments were silent. Military forces had disappeared from radar. Everything looked like defeat. But deep underground, far below the alien scanners, Project Aegis continued to work. In the main command room, the large world map now showed more than red dots. Thin green circles had appeared around each alien landing zone. These circles were invisible to the enemy. They marked something very important: energy capture fields. For decades, scientists had built hidden systems under major cities. Massive underground towers were placed directly beneath population centers. They were designed to absorb and redirect extreme energy outputs. The alien ships, while attacking, had released powerful radiation and shield signals into the atmosphere. They believed this energy proved their dominance. They did not realize Earth was quietly collecting it. Energy absorption at 80%, a technician reported calmly. The commander nodded. Continue Phase 2. Around the planet, old communication cables buried under oceans suddenly became active. They did not connect to the public internet. They were part of a closed global defense network built in total secrecy. In the sky, several broken satellites that had drifted silently for years suddenly adjusted their position by a few degrees. To alien scanners, they still looked dead, but inside, small hidden cores began receiving signals from the underground grid. In one city, an alien commander stepped over the remains of a destroyed tank. He raised his weapon and scanned a nearby hospital building. No movement, no defense. He turned to his unit and gave a short command. The soldiers continued forward without fear. What they did not know was that every step they took was being tracked. Every movement was feeding information into the human defense AI. Project Aegis had predicted one key behavior. Advanced species often rely on logic over emotion. They move in patterns. They divide territory into sectors. They establish control in clear zones. And that is exactly what the aliens were doing. Enemy forces entering sector lines. The AI voice echoed inside the bunker. Trap probability now at 92%. The countdown timer continued. 5 minutes remaining. The commander looked at the screen, showing the alien command ship in orbit. "Are we ready?" he asked quietly. A senior engineer responded. "Orbital interference network synchronized. Waiting for your signal." Above Earth, the alien fleet remained in perfect formation. Their shields shimmered faintly around each massive ship. From their point of view, the planet's resistance had ended. Human military forces were gone. Nuclear silos were offline. Communication satellites were silent. Everything was under control. Then something small changed. At first, the alien sensors detected a minor fluctuation in Earth's magnetic field. It looked natural, harmless. The system ignored it. Seconds later, another fluctuation appeared. Then another. These changes were happening directly beneath alien landing zones. Still, the fleet did not react. The changes were too small to be considered a threat. On the surface, alien walkers crossed into the center of the green circles marked on the human map. The moment they did, underground systems locked into final position. Massive energy relays aligned deep below the streets. Power collected from alien shield emissions flowed into hidden storage cores. Humanity was not attacking yet. Humanity was positioning the enemy exactly where they needed them. Phase 3 ready, the AI announced. The commander's eye stayed on the timer. For minutes remaining, in the alien command ship, a junior officer finally noticed something unusual. Energy readings from the planet were increasing. Not weapon signals, not missiles, something else. The alien leader studied the data carefully. "Explain," he demanded. The officer hesitated. "Unknown source. Planetary grid showing synchronized pulse patterns." The leader's expression darkened. "Impossible. Their technology was neutralized." On Earth, the alien soldiers continued their advance. Some entered government buildings. Some moved toward power plants. Some scanned underground tunnels, but their sensors could not see deep enough. The human systems were built far below normal detection range. In the bunker, tension filled the air, but no one showed fear. This was the moment they had prepared for. Generations of scientists had worked toward this single event. Children of the original engineers were now standing at the same stations their parents once built. Humanity had not spent 80 years hiding in fear. They had spent 80 years building a trap. "Energy grid fully charged," the technician said. "Orbital disruption satellites aligned." The countdown reached 3 minutes. The commander finally spoke the words everyone had waited for. "Lock them in." Across the planet, Invisible containment fields activated beneath every alien landing zone. They did not explode. They did not shine. They simply sealed the area with powerful magnetic distortion. Alien communication signals between ground troops and orbit flickered slightly. Just for a second, the alien leader noticed a flicker. His eyes narrowed. "Prepare fleet for defensive reposition," he ordered. But it was already too late. For the first time since the invasion began, control was shifting. The aliens believed they had trapped humanity on a helpless planet. They did not realize they had walked directly into humanity's design. The timer reached 2 minutes remaining, and the real war was about to begin. The timer in the underground command center reached 1 minute remaining. No one in the room spoke. The low hum of machines filled the silence. Every screen showed live images of alien forces across the planet. Massive walkers stood in city centers. Armored soldiers guarded landing ships. Above them, the giant fleet still covered the sky like a dark ceiling. To the world above, nothing had changed. Fear still ruled the streets. Smoke still rose from destroyed buildings. But deep underground, humanity was ready to answer. The commander looked at the central display. "Begin minute 1, he said calmly. At that exact second, the hidden satellites in orbit activated. For decades, they had drifted like space junk. Now their cores lit up with powerful blue energy. Thin beams of focused signals shot silently between them, forming a massive invisible web around Earth. The alien fleet did not see the beams. They did not register as weapons. They were something else. Inside the alien command ship, warning symbols suddenly flashed across control panels. Unidentified orbital synchronization detected. An officer reported. The alien leader stepped forward. "Source." The answer came quickly. "Multiple small satellites, previously classified as inactive debris." The leader's eyes narrowed. "Eliminate them." But before the order could be completed, the first pulse was released. It was not bright. It was not loud. From space, it looked like a faint ripple moving across the dark side of the planet. But when the pulse touched the alien ships, everything changed. The shields around the nearest cruiser flickered violently. For the first time since arriving, their protective barrier weakened. Energy readings dropped by 12% in less than a second. On Earth, the underground grid pushed stored power upward through hidden towers. The energy collected from alien emissions was now being returned, amplified and redirected. The second pulse fired. This one was stronger. Alien shields across the fleet began to destabilize. Not destroyed. Not yet. But disrupted. On the surface, alien soldiers suddenly felt a shift in their armor systems. Displays inside their helmets glitched for a moment. Communication signals to orbit cracked with static. The alien commander standing in the ruined city looked up at the sky, confused. This was not supposed to happen. In the bunker, technicians watched numbers rise rapidly. Shield interference at 30%. One reported. Orbital fleet adjusting formation, another said. The commander stayed calm. Continue pressure. The satellite network released a third pulse. This time it carried a hidden code inside the energy wave. For years, humanity had studied fragments of alien transmissions collected by deep space probes. They had built algorithms to mimic and twist those signals. Now those modified signals were sent directly into the alien shield systems. The result was immediate. Several smaller alien ships lost shield stability completely. Their protective fields collapsed for 3 full seconds. That was enough. From secret platforms hidden beneath oceans, long-range kinetic weapons fired. Solid metal projectiles, accelerated to extreme speed, shot into orbit. No flames, no visible launch, just silent force. The first projectile struck a shieldless alien destroyer. The impact tore through its hull. For the first time since the invasion began, one of the alien ships exploded. The fireball burned bright against the darkness of space. Across Earth, people hiding in streets and buildings saw a flash in the sky. A massive alien ship had just been destroyed. Inside the alien command vessel, alarm screamed. "Fleet damage confirmed," an officer shouted. "One destroyer lost." The alien leader stared at the display in disbelief. "How?" he demanded. On the ground, alien walkers froze for a moment as their connection to orbital command weakened. Some drones dropped from the air as control signals failed. The human containment fields beneath landing zones increased in strength. Alien troop communication was now heavily delayed. In the bunker, the countdown showed 8 minutes remaining. Humanity had entered minute 1 of the real war, and already the balance was shifting. Orbital grid holding, the engineer said. Enemy shields destabilizing across multiple sectors. The commander gave a single nod. Initiate ground response. Hidden panels beneath city streets opened silently. Advanced defense turrets, buried for decades, rose into position. They did not fire bullets or rockets. They released concentrated electromagnetic bursts directly at alien ground forces. The bursts overloaded alien armor systems. Several soldiers collapsed as their suits shut down completely. The tall mechanical walkers attempted to fire back, but their targeting systems were no longer accurate. Human AI had inserted distortion signals into their sensors. Shots missed by meters. Buildings that would have been destroyed remained standing. In the alien command ship, fear began to replace confidence. The fleet attempted to retreat to higher orbit, but the satellite web tightened its interference pattern. Shield systems were struggling to stabilize. Every adjustment they made was predicted seconds before by Project Aegis. Back on Earth, another kinetic strike hit a cruiser whose shields had just failed. The explosion lit up the sky again. Civilians watching from hiding places realized something impossible was happening. The aliens were not winning anymore. They were being attacked. In the bunker, energy levels remained stable. Minute 1 successful, the AI voice announced calmly. Enemy shield capacity reduced by 40%. The commander looked at the main screen, showing the alien flagship. It was larger than all others, heavily shielded, commanding the entire fleet. Focus disruption on their command ship, he ordered. Prepare for escalation. Above the planet, the once unstoppable fleet now showed signs of disorder. Ships shifted positions rapidly. Energy spikes flashed across their hulls. Communication between ground and orbit grew weaker by the second. The aliens had arrived believing Earth would fall in hours. They had underestimated the quiet species below them. Humanity had allowed them to land. Humanity had allowed them to believe they were in control. But now, only 1 minute into the true counterattack, the invaders were bleeding, and the countdown still showed 8 long minutes remaining. Minute 4 began with fire in the sky. The alien fleet was no longer calm or perfectly aligned. Several ships were drifting out of formation, their shields unstable and flickering. The silent confidence that had filled orbit only minutes ago was gone. In its place was confusion. On Earth, people hiding in underground stations and damaged buildings watched through broken windows as another alien cruiser burned above the clouds. For the first time since the invasion started, hope appeared. Deep beneath the surface, inside the Project Aegis command center, the atmosphere remained controlled. No cheering, no celebration, only focus. The central screen displayed the alien flagship in bright red. It was massive, far larger than the others, and still heavily shielded. This ship controlled the entire fleet. As long as it remained active, the invasion could continue. Flagship shield strength at 70%, a technician reported. It is redirecting power from smaller vessels. The commander nodded. As expected, they are protecting their brain. The AI voice responded calmly. Enemy attempting emergency jump preparation. That changed everything. If the flagship escaped into deep space, it could return later with reinforcements. Humanity could not allow that. Lock all orbital interference on the flagship, the commander ordered. In space, the hidden satellite web adjusted instantly. The invisible energy lattice tightened around the largest alien vessel. Interference waves struck its shield in rapid sequence, forcing it to remain in low orbit. Inside the alien flagship, alarm screamed across every control panel. Jump drive failing, an officer shouted. External interference too strong. The alien leader gripped the edge of the command platform. This primitive planet was not supposed to fight back like this. Their analysis had shown weak defenses and divided governments. They had not predicted a coordinated global counterattack. On the surface, alien ground forces began to move more aggressively. Without stable communication from orbit, local commanders made independent decisions. Walkers opened fire at random buildings. Energy blasts shook entire streets. But hidden human defenses were ready. From beneath highways and city squares, advanced rail cannons rose and fired precise shots at weakened alien machines. One walker collapsed as its central joint shattered. Another attempted to target the source, but lost power mid-action as electromagnetic pulses struck its systems. In the bunker, the countdown timer showed 6 minutes remaining. Ground enemy coordination decreasing, a young officer said. Containment fields holding strong. The commander gave another order. Activate Phase 4. Across the oceans, massive underwater platforms that had remained silent for decades powered on. These were not ordinary submarines. They were planetary defense launch systems. Their purpose was simple: strike when shields fall. In orbit, the satellite web delivered a concentrated disruption pulse directly into the flagship's shield grid. For 2 seconds, its shield strength dropped below 40%. That was the opening humanity needed. From the depths of the Pacific and Atlantic, hypersonic kinetic rods launched toward the sky. They moved faster than any missile from the earlier failed defense attempt. No heat trail, no warning signal, just pure speed. Inside the alien flagship, officers barely had time to react. Incoming objects detected, one shouted. Defensive cannons fired wildly, but interference scrambled their targeting systems. The first kinetic rod struck the flagship's outer hull with unstoppable force. The impact sent a shockwave through the entire vessel. Sections of armor cracked. Internal systems failed in multiple decks. A second rod followed seconds later, piercing deeper into the ship's structure. From Earth, the sky lit up brighter than before. The flagship did not explode, but flames burst from several sections along its surface. Its once steady shield flickered like a dying light. In the command bunker, silence held for one breath. Then the AI announced, flagship structural integrity reduced to 58%. The commander did not smile. Continue pressure. Do not give them time to recover. In orbit, smaller alien ships attempted to move closer to defend their leader. But every movement triggered another interference wave. Human systems had predicted these protective patterns long ago. As ships grouped together, the shield frequencies overlapped and destabilized further. Another cruiser lost power completely and drifted helplessly before being struck by a follow-up kinetic strike. On the ground, alien soldiers began to show visible disorder. Some units retreated toward landing ships. Others tried to establish defensive circles, but the containment fields beneath them prevented stable communication. Their armor systems glitched more frequently. Human defense turrets continued firing controlled bursts, targeting weak points with machine precision. The alien commander who had walked confidently through a ruined city earlier now looked toward the burning sky. His helmet display showed warnings he had never seen before. For the first time, fear entered the alien ranks. In the bunker, the timer reached 5 minutes remaining. Humanity had moved from survival to dominance in less than half the countdown. Energy reserves stable, the engineer reported. Orbital grid functioning at full capacity. The commander looked at the screen, showing the damaged flagship. Prepare final suppression sequence, he said quietly. Above Earth, the alien fleet that had arrived as conquerors now struggled simply to remain intact. The flagship attempted one last power surge to activate its jump drive, but the satellite web responded instantly, sending a focused disruption wave directly into its core systems. Sparks and explosions rippled across the massive vessel. Its engines failed completely. Across the planet, people watched as the largest alien ship in the sky began to drift, burning and powerless. The invaders had come with full force, believing Earth would fall in minutes. Now, in minute 4 of humanity's counterattack, their command ship was crippled, their fleet fractured, and their ground forces trapped. And the countdown still had 5 long minutes left. Minute 7 began with silence in the command bunker, the kind of silence that comes before something final. The countdown timer moved steadily. 3 minutes remaining. On the main screen, the alien flagship drifted in low orbit, burning along its outer hull. Smaller ships surrounded it in broken formation, their shields weak and unstable. What had arrived as a perfect invasion force now looked like a damaged fleet struggling to survive. On Earth, Alien ground troops were no longer advancing. Many had stopped moving completely. Their armor systems flickered as interference from the human containment fields grew stronger. Some soldiers tried to reach their landing crafts, but navigation systems failed again and again. The giant mechanical walkers that had once shaken entire streets now stood frozen, their weapons powerless. In the alien flagship, emergency lights flashed across the command deck. Smoke filled parts of the corridor. Engineers rushed to repair core systems, but nothing responded normally. Jump drive offline. One officer reported. Shield regeneration failing. The alien leader stared at the tactical display. The planet below was no longer weak. It was attacking with precision. Prepare planetary purge weapon. The leader ordered coldly. If they could not conquer Earth, they would destroy its ability to fight. Deep within the flagship, a hidden weapon system began charging. It was designed to release a massive energy wave capable of wiping out entire continents. Even damaged, the ship still carried enough power to cause terrible destruction. Back in the human bunker, alarms sounded. Massive energy spike detected inside the flagship. A technician shouted. Unknown weapon charging. The AI processed the data within seconds. Probability of planetary scale attack, high. The room grew tense, but not chaotic. The commander stepped forward. Can we stop it? The engineer answered quickly. Direct strike may not be enough. Shield fragments still active around the core. The AI responded again, calm and steady. Alternative solution available. On another screen, a complex diagram appeared. It showed the alien weapon charging system linked to the ship's unstable power grid. The earlier kinetic strikes had damaged internal stabilizers. If the charging energy was forced back into the damaged circuits at the right moment, the weapon would destroy the flagship from inside. We overload their own weapon, the commander said quietly. Exactly, the AI confirmed. On the surface, people could see the alien flagship glowing brighter. A growing light formed along its center. Even without understanding the technology, it was clear something terrible was about to happen. Some believed the aliens were preparing one final attack to punish Earth. In orbit, the satellite web adjusted again. Instead of direct disruption pulses, it began sending carefully shaped signals aimed at the flagship's damaged power conduits. Timing had to be perfect. Too early, and the aliens would shut the system down. Too late, and the weapon would fire. Weapon charge at 60%. The technician reported. 70%. Another voice added. The commander watched the countdown timer. 2 minutes remaining. Hold until 90%, he ordered. Inside the alien command deck, officers felt the ship shaking as power surged through unstable systems. Energy containment unstable, one warned. The leader ignored the warning. Continue charging. Pride and anger now controlled their decision. They would not retreat in defeat. If Earth resisted, Earth would burn. Back in the bunker, the AI tracked the exact flow of energy through alien circuits. Every fluctuation was measured. 85%, the technician said. The room felt heavy. 90%, came the next report. The commander raised his hand. Now, the satellite network released a focused reversal pulse directly into the flagship's core. The pulse did not hit the hull. It slipped through damaged shield gaps and entered the unstable energy lines, feeding the purge weapon. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the alien flagship shook violently. On the command deck, screens exploded in sparks. Containment failure, an officer screamed. The weapon's charging energy reversed direction, flowing back into fractured stabilizers. Internal explosions erupted across multiple decks. From Earth, the massive ship suddenly flared with blinding light. Instead of firing toward the planet, the energy burst outward from within the vessel itself. A chain reaction spread from the core to the outer hull. The alien leader barely had time to understand what had happened. The flagship broke apart in orbit, pieces scattering in burning fragments across space. The largest ship in the invasion fleet was gone. In the bunker, no one cheered. The AI simply stated, "Primary command vessel destroyed." On the surface, alien ground troops froze completely. Without the flagship, their coordination collapsed. Some armor systems shut down permanently. Landing ships powered off as communication links died. In orbit, The remaining alien vessels attempted to retreat, but without central command, and with shields critically damaged, they were easy targets. Human kinetic platforms fired again. One by one, the surviving ships were struck and destroyed. The sky filled with falling debris, glowing as it burned in the atmosphere. The countdown timer reached 1 minute remaining. The commander finally allowed himself a slow breath. "Status," he asked. "Enemy fleet combat capability below 5%. A technician replied. "Ground forces inactive or surrendering." Across the planet, the dark shadow that had covered the sky began to clear. Sunlight returned through smoke and clouds. People slowly stepped out from hiding places, staring upward in disbelief. The invaders who had arrived with unstoppable force were now reduced to wreckage. In the bunker, the timer reached 30 seconds. Systems across Project Aegis began powering down in controlled sequence. Energy levels returned to safe limits. The satellite web loosened its formation. The AI gave its final report. Enemy invasion neutralized. Total counteroffensive duration, 9 minutes and 43 seconds. Silence filled the room again, but this time it was different. It was not fear. It was realization. Humanity had survived. Not by luck, not by miracle, but by preparation, patience, and unity. Above Earth, the last burning fragment of the alien flagship faded into the atmosphere. The war that was meant to conquer a planet had lasted less than 10 minutes. Minute 9 began with falling fire across the sky. Burning pieces of alien ships entered the atmosphere like broken stars. Some fragments were small and turned to ash before touching the ground. Others were larger, crashing into empty oceans or deserted land where Project Aegis had already cleared civilians through emergency evacuation signals sent minutes earlier. The invasion fleet that had once blocked the sun was now nothing more than scattered debris. In orbit, only a few damaged alien vessels remained. They drifted without direction, their shields gone, their communication silent. Without the flagship, there was no central command, no coordination, no strategy. Inside the underground bunker, the main screen showed green across almost every sector. Enemy fleet combat capability at 2%, a technician reported. Remaining ships attempting uncontrolled retreat. The commander folded his hands behind his back. "Do not allow escape," he said calmly. The satellite web, though slightly weakened after intense use, adjusted its pattern one final time. Interference pulses targeted the engines of the fleeing ships. One vessel tried to initiate faster-than-light travel, but its drive core overloaded instantly under the disruption field. It exploded in a flash of blue light. Another ship attempted to hide behind the debris field, but human tracking systems had already calculated its path. A final kinetic strike ended its movement. In less than 30 seconds, the last organized alien resistance in orbit disappeared. On the surface of Earth, alien ground forces were in total confusion. Their armor displays had gone dark. Many soldiers stood frozen in place, unable to receive orders. Some dropped their weapons as power systems failed completely. The towering mechanical walkers that once seemed unstoppable were now silent metal statues in the middle of ruined streets. In several cities, human defense teams cautiously emerged from hidden positions. They approached disabled alien units with extreme care. Special containment squads, trained for biological and technological threats, moved in to secure fallen equipment. Humanity had not only defended itself, it was already thinking about what came next. In the bunker, the countdown timer reached 10 seconds. Every eye watched it, not because they feared failure anymore, but because it marked the end of something historic. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. The timer stopped at exactly 9 minutes and 43 seconds. The AI voice spoke clearly. Invasion neutralized. All primary threats eliminated. For a moment, no one moved. The war that was supposed to last days had ended in less than 10 minutes. The commander looked around the room at the men and women who had carried the weight of humanity's survival. "Stand down," he said quietly. Across the globe, hidden systems began powering off. Underground towers cooled. Ocean platforms sealed themselves. The satellite web slowly returned to its inactive pattern, appearing once again like harmless debris in space. Project Aegis faded back into silence, just as it had lived for decades. On the surface, sunlight fully returned as the last alien ship burned away. Civilians stepped out from shelters, staring at the sky that was finally clear. News systems slowly came back online. Emergency broadcasts replaced panic with confirmation. The alien fleet has been destroyed. Earth remains under human control. In cities that had faced destruction, people began helping each other out of rubble. Firefighters returned to work. Medical teams rushed to injured survivors. Despite damage and loss, the planet still stood. In one ruined city square, a disabled alien soldier knelt motionless, its armor dark and powerless. A small group of humans approached carefully, weapons ready. The alien raised its head slightly, but there was no strength left in its systems. For the first time, the invaders looked small. Not like conquerors, not like gods, just soldiers who had miscalculated their enemy. In orbit, human observation satellites scanned every remaining fragment to ensure no hidden threat remained. The AI confirmed again and again. No active hostile signals detected. The commander finally allowed a small breath of relief. "Send global message," he ordered. Within minutes, secure lines connected world leaders who had been isolated during the attack. The message was simple and clear. Earth had survived because it stood together. Project Aegis had not belonged to one nation. It belonged to humanity. In space, the wreckage of the alien flagship slowly drifted. What had once been a symbol of unstoppable power was now broken metal floating above a planet that refused to fall. Humanity had not chased glory. It had not shown its strength early. It had waited. It had prepared in silence while the galaxy ignored it. The aliens had believed Earth was divided and weak. They had studied human wars and conflicts and assumed that unity was impossible. They were wrong. As rescue operations continued and global communication stabilized, one fact became clear. The invasion had failed completely. Alien casualties were total. Human survival, though costly in certain cities, was secure. The sky that had turned black that morning was now blue again. But humanity would never look at it the same way. In the bunker, systems powered down one by one. The AI entered standby mode. The commander looked at the final report displayed on the screen. Total invasion duration, 9 minutes, 43 seconds. Enemy objective, planetary domination. Result, complete failure. He nodded once. "They thought we were unprepared," he said softly. Around him, tired but steady faces reflected quiet pride. Humanity did not celebrate loudly. It did not shout victory into space. It simply returned to work, rebuilding cities, treating the wounded, studying alien technology left behind. Because survival was not the final goal. The future was. High above Earth, drifting wreckage carried a message to anyone else watching from distant stars. This planet was not easy prey. It did not surrender quietly. And if another fleet ever considered invasion, they would need to remember what happened here. The aliens had come at full force. They had believed 10 minutes would be enough to conquer a world. They were right about one thing. 10 minutes was enough. Just not in the way they expected. The day after the invasion, the sky was clear, but the world was not the same. Smoke still rose from damaged cities. Emergency vehicles moved through broken streets. Rescue teams searched through debris for survivors. The scars of the attack were real. Entire districts had vanished in white light during the first minutes of the invasion. Many lives were lost before humanity answered back. Victory did not erase that pain, but Earth was still standing. And that changed everything. Across the planet, governments made a joint announcement. The alien fleet had been completely destroyed. No active hostile ships remained in orbit. Project Aegis was not mentioned by name, but the message was clear. Humanity had been prepared. In underground labs and military facilities, scientists began studying the wreckage that had fallen from the sky. Alien metals were stronger and lighter than anything built on Earth. Power cores from damaged drones still held unknown energy sources. Engineers worked carefully, wearing protective suits, scanning every device for hidden dangers. Humanity was no longer just defending. Humanity was learning. In space, international crews launched recovery missions. Small human spacecraft approached the larger fragments of alien ships that still floated in low orbit. What once seemed like impossible technology was now within reach. The broken flagship remains with the highest priority. Though heavily damaged, parts of its core structure survived. If understood correctly, it could change human space travel forever. Deep inside the command bunker, Project Aegis remained in standby mode. Most systems were powered down, but not dismantled. The commander stood alone in the main control room, looking at the dark screens. The war had lasted less than 10 minutes, but its preparation had taken almost a century. Generations of quiet work had led to one moment of survival. He knew something important. This would not be the last time Earth was tested. In cities around the world, people began rebuilding together. Countries that once argued over borders and politics now shared resources openly. Medical teams from different nations worked side by side. Engineers exchanged information without secrecy. For the first time in history, humanity understood a simple truth. From space, there were no borders. Only one planet. Alien bodies and armor were carefully collected for study. Biologists examined their structure and discovered something surprising. The invaders were not very different from humans in basic biology. They had evolved under different stars, but they were still living beings, shaped by survival and logic. They were not gods. They were not monsters. They were advanced, but not unbeatable. News networks replayed the moment the alien flagship exploded in orbit. That bright flash became a symbol. Children watched it in classrooms as teachers explained how preparation and unity saved the planet. The phrase 9 minutes and 43 seconds became part of history books. It was the length of the shortest and most important war humanity had ever fought. Months passed. Recovery continued. Using captured alien technology, scientists improved Earth's energy systems. Clean power grids replaced older systems faster than expected. New spacecraft prototypes were built using hybrid human-alien designs. What had been defense research now became exploration research. Humanity realized something else during that time. The alien fleet had not arrived by accident. They had scanned Earth, studied it, and made a decision to invade. That meant one thing. Others might be watching too. Far beyond the solar system, signals from the destroyed fleet would eventually reach unknown civilizations. They would learn that a small blue planet had defeated a full invasion force in less than 10 minutes. The message would spread quietly through whatever networks connected the stars. Earth was not weak. Earth was dangerous. In the bunker, Project Aegis was upgraded rather than retired. New systems were added. Stronger orbital defenses were designed. This time, preparation would not remain fully hidden. Humanity began constructing visible defense stations in space, not as a threat, but as a warning. The message was simple. Earth prefers peace, but Earth is ready for war. 1 year after the invasion, a global ceremony was held, not to celebrate destruction, but to remember those lost in the first moments before the counterattack began. A single line was spoken by representatives from every continent. We stood together. It was not just a memory of battle. It was a promise for the future. In orbit, the last large piece of alien wreckage was safely pulled into a research station. Engineers successfully activated a small part of the alien navigation system. For the first time, humans saw star maps far beyond their own telescopes. Hundreds of distant systems appeared on the screen. Humanity was no longer alone in theory. It was alone by choice. Because after the invasion, no alien fleet approached again. Signals from deep space changed slightly. Observations suggested distant civilizations were adjusting their paths away from Earth's region. The galaxy had taken note. In the command bunker, the commander stood with a group of young officers who had joined after the war. He pointed to the main screen, where Earth rotated peacefully in view. They thought we were divided, he said. They thought we would panic. They thought we were easy. He paused before continuing. They were wrong. The officers nodded, understanding that Project Aegis was not just a defense system. It was proof of human character. Quiet patience, careful planning, strong unity when it mattered most. The invasion had started with the sky turning black. It ended with the sky brighter than before. Humanity did not chase the stars in anger. It moved forward with caution and strength. Somewhere in the distant galaxy, other civilizations updated their records. Planet designation Earth. Status independent. Threat level high. Recommendation do not engage. The aliens had come at full force, believing humans would fall in minutes. Instead, they were erased in less than 10. And from that day forward, the galaxy understood something new. Humanity does not fear invasion. Humanity prepares for it.